Okay, shall we? Okay, let's do this. All right, well, welcome and thank you all for joining us. For those who are not able to make this call, I know time zones are tricky, so we're recording this presentation and we'll send it out to everyone regarding next steps. We have an email drafted that'll go out to, I think we have almost 70 people who've submitted a volunteer request, which was really exciting. And we'll also discuss these next steps at the end of the presentation. So with that, let's get started. Okay, so before we jump in, I thought it would be a little helpful to give you a background on how all this came about. So last year, I asked Katie if she would meet for lunch so that we could talk. First thing I said is if it was okay to be completely direct with her. And of course, Katie was totally open to it. And I said, you're not going to be around forever. And I began to share my ideas about how to create a community that could help continue to move the work in the world. And you're going to hear the phrase move the work in the world throughout this presentation. The one thing that I would say to walk away with is my desire is to support me in my practice. And if that's in place, to support you in your practice. And what I would hope is that that's the same for all of you, that your objective is to support you in your practice. And after that, then supporting other people in their practice. If that's the only takeaway from everything today, thumbs up. Okay, so after saying you're not going to be around forever, the conversation resulted in me offering to create a SCQA analysis, which is this professional thing from a past life. It's a strategic way of exploring how we can continue to move the work in the world through Katie, without Katie. So this was still at the time when the ITW was available. The intention was not to replace the ITW, but to create something new. So next I worked on the SCQA. I built a 30-page PowerPoint presentation. There was lots of data and research, which I later shared with Katie, as well as over 20 additional community members. So each time we were able to gather additional insights and ideas and add them into this deck. So what you're about to see is kind of the result of that collective collaboration. And now that we have our feet under us, we're inviting you all to be a part of this so-called unfolding journey. So be sure throughout this presentation, jot down any ideas that come to you, as we have an ideas and suggestions form we're going to be sending out in that post email. Okay, so let's start by walking through a high-level overview of what an SCQA is. And do not worry, we are not doing all 30 pages of that PowerPoint presentation. We've shortened it down to like 4. So what is an SCQA? The easiest way to explain it is it helps you create a strategic solution and execution plan, making it easy to follow the logic and understanding the why of what we're doing. And it helps you propose solutions, which I'll explain a little bit more on the next slide. So the S stands for situation. This is identifying your current situation as all fact-based. And for those who've gone to a school, it's just like the journalist exercise where Katie used to do, you cross out everything that isn't a fact. So you're only left with a factual current situation. The C stands for complications. So this is where you identify all the barriers that we as a community are coming up against. The Q stands for the question. And the question, it focuses on the key issues and acts as a bridge to the answer. And that brings us to the A, which stands for the answer. And it outlines our way to solve said complications. So this then becomes our North Star as we continue to build out our plan to move the work in the world through community. Okay, so now how to explain how it works a little bit. Yay, lots of pretty pictures. So the only thing we're really looking at here is, as you can see, the SCQA is at the top, and that becomes our answer, which then becomes our what or our objective, what it is we're here to try to do. So for example, moving the work in the world through community. So what are we going to do? We're going to create a centralized hub for the community. How are we going to do it? Purchase a domain name and build out a site to point to where people can do the work. Why are we going to do this? So there's the what, how, and the why. The why is always the most important. To connect people who are interested in the work with any other people interested in the work. So this what, how, why supports our primary objective. The why is always important, as we want to make sure it's as close to the possible to supporting that primary objective. You can't get closer to moving the work than creating a space to do the work. So let's say instead, we want to create the work community branded coffee cups that we can send to people who sign up for the community. If our goal is to support moving the work in the world, how does a branded item move the work? It's not saying it's a bad idea. There's just a lot of additional ideas that are lower bearing fruit that we'd want to reach for first, like setting up a space to support people in doing the work. Okay, so now here's the high level SCQA as it currently stands for our situation. The work of Byron Katie is self-inquiry, helps us question the painful thoughts that cause our suffering. It's structured around Katie, who's in her 80s. It's accessible through thework.com, her books, BKI events, the former ITW, certified facilitators, and word of mouth. So now let's take a look at the complications. The work without Katie. So how do we navigate without Katie and ensure the continuity of the practice without her constant support and guidance? Limited centralized community. In its current form, thework.com is not offering a centralized location for the community to live. Shifting ownership, so transitioning from a hierarchical model where we all go to Katie, she's the source. How do we make that a community-driven model? Continuing the practice correctly, ensuring the community is correctly applying the practice. At the end of the day, it's 4 questions and turnarounds. It's ultimately just sitting in, is it true? Next is supporting, not proselytizing. We don't want to go out there and tell people they have to do the work. How do we keep it an invitation? We're not here to impose beliefs. Next is loss of engagement, as well as diversity and inclusivity. So how do we accommodate diverse paths and levels of involvement in self-inquiry, taking into consideration cultural differences, language barriers, financial limitations, geographical barriers, technology limitations, personal desires. So yeah, a lot to consider. Next is resistance to the work, addressing the fears related to identity transformation, letting go of ego, which always arises from me prior to doing inquiry. And lastly, preventing the misuse of the work as a perception or a rule, that this again is an invitation to sit in, is it true? Okay, so that leads us to the big question. How can we move the work in the world without Katie or the ITW while maintaining the work's integrity? And the answer is moving the work in the world through community. This includes it being community driven, supported from the bottom up, not top down. We are all equal. We all share the same wisdom when we sit in this practice. A centralized platform, a space to point to everywhere the work is moving in the world. Ensuring the integrity. This is not a religion. It's not therapy. It's an invitation to sit in the 4 questions and the turnarounds. It's about supporting you and coming back to you. Centralizing resources, so creating a space for best practices, how to set up a local community, research, special projects, etc. Education and training, using this centralized platform and resources to point the community to where they can get e-courses, workshops, retreats, trainings, webinars, anything that is grounded in the work. Continued support, a place for frequently asked questions, to ask for help and ultimately support each other in the practice. Research and knowledge sharing. So there's many people out there putting a lot of research into the work and how it can be effective in areas such as stigma, with education, with ChatGPT, and we'll talk about that a little later. And then lastly, to create a space that is inclusive and diverse. When I was in Vegas and I discovered the work, I was a total mess. And when I tapped into it, I went, holy crap, this is it. Like, I want to do this. So I went to thework.com and I started digesting all these videos. And at the time, my options were spend a lot of money, take a week vacation and fly to Ojai. It was pay for a facilitator or call a helpline, which I felt was reserved for only people who really needed it. So what we're trying to do here is create a space where it doesn't matter the level of engagement, from wanting to dip your toes in the water, watch a video or 2, or become fully immersed in the work, attend workshops, e-courses, seminars, etc. Okay, so as Katie would call it, the human race. So how do we make the invitation to this practice available to anyone and everyone? Nobody has to do it, and the invitation is still there. Age, demographics, spirituality, financial status, etc., that we're not leaving anyone behind. So with this in mind and the exercise of the SCQA, we've been able to create our purpose as a community moving forward, which is We are here to create a supportive and inclusive community committed to the practice of self-inquiry through the work of Byron Katie. We aim to provide a safe space for individuals to explore and grow their practice and share their experiences within the work, fostering a culture of open dialogue, self-compassion, and transformation. Our community values diversity, respect, and the principles of the work, which includes the practice of self-inquiry and self-realization. The work community is dedicated to pointing to ways where you can practice and share the work, moving in the world through community, collaboration, and connection. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over to Fatma to talk about where we are and where we're going.
Thank you, Carver. So let's take a moment and just to remind us all that this is building a foundation. We haven't figured a lot of things out yet. And this is where we're looking to you, the community, your wisdom, and your willingness to volunteer to support the continued building of this shared space. And we'll go to the next slide. So Carver has been following the simple directions to sit in inquiry. Over the last 13 months, he has met with many community members and incorporated their feedback to refine the concept to set the foundation that you see today. We now have our community website that has been funded and started by Carver. This includes buying the domain, developing, buying the website, and also building it. He also has created the WhatsApp community with all of its groups. And when the ITW announcement was made, the rest of us jumped in to support Carver's beautiful mission. Just to support each other in inquiry, really support ourselves in inquiry. We're so grateful for what Carver has been able to get started. And, you know, I've heard him say this so many times, and it's really true. He does not want to be a leader. He just wants to sit in inquiry and is so excited for this collective community. So far, what we have is that beautiful website, the beautiful WhatsApp group with the Find a Partner programs to do the work, and posting and finding events to do the work. So we've had like over 40 events that have been posted so far. We also have the Work for Breakfast and e-courses currently in WhatsApp. There's planning on getting those to the website once we have additional volunteer support. And coming soon, we'll be pointing to existing communities in the work. And outside of that, we also have the volunteer submission form. That's how you got here. And resources to shine light on projects such as Beyond Stigma, the Thinking Project, and the work with AI. And then the ideas and suggestions collection. Please continue to share your thoughts, and we will send an email to you so that we can collect, analyze, and address your feedback in a consistent way. And so our priority, this is going to sound so repetitive, but our priority is supporting people in doing the work. And that is going to be through the next expanded areas. So we're going to try to expand e-courses, the Work for Breakfast listings, community listings, best practices, and of course, the listings of facilitators by topic, geographic location, language. we're going to have an expanded find a partner kind of way, and also expand on the not-for-profit structure. There are many other areas as well that we could use your support. And we're looking forward to continuing to collect the ideas and suggestions as this develops. So I'm going to hand it over to Victoria, and she will talk a little bit about the intention moving forward and how we would like to work together in building this community. Victoria.
Thank you, Fatma. So, how do we get everything done without a boss? And how can we create a space where everyone's voice counts, but we're still moving forward and growing our community? Well, we've listened to all of your suggestions and we've been doing our homework, and we think we found a flexible solution. It's a hybrid sociocratic framework. Let's talk about the values that shape this type of community. First off, every voice matters here. Sure, we're going to disagree from time to time, but we've got a powerful tool for that called the 4 questions and the turnarounds. Next, we like feedback loops. Your input isn't just lost in the noise, and your ideas don't just go into a black hole. We want to capture and put them to work. Third, we make decisions together. No single person or group gets to call all the shots. This way, when we don't see eye to eye, we can work it out constructively. Lastly, we're using what we call circles to get things done. Think of them as teams, each focusing on a different part of our community. So let's explore how these circles collaborate and support each other. Okay, so what are these circles and how do they actually work? Based on all the great input we've gotten from you, we've mapped out 6 circles. Don't worry, we'll dig into each one of them in more detail in a bit. Circles are basically teams working together on specific goals, and they're not operating in their own little bubbles. They are all connected like a big web of collaboration. Now, within these main circles, we have smaller groups we call subcircles. Take our practice circle, for example. It's got subcircles like find a partner, events, and the work for breakfast. So think of it this way. These circles and subcircles are like bolts on a car wheel. They are crucial, working together to keep that tire attached and the car running smoothly. So how do we make sure all these circles stay in sync? Let's take a look at that next. Next slide, please. Our circles will meet regularly to plan, review, and track progress. Each circle and subcircle will choose representatives. These representatives will share updates, connecting circles, and keeping everyone informed. We'll also have larger community meetings with all circle reps. This helps us stay aligned and moving forward together. In our circles, we'll use consent-based decision-making. This approach ensures every voice is heard while keeping us efficient. Let's get to know a little bit about the different circles. So these are the 6 circles we'd like to start with to get the ball rolling. They are not set in stone. As our community grows and evolves, these circles may shift too. We might see new ones pop up, or the current ones might transform. It all depends on your ideas and what we feel we all need to really bring our vision of moving the work in the world to life. We've used the info you gave us on your volunteer submission form to place you in a circle. It was our best guess, and it is also not permanent. In the next few slides, we're going to break down each circle for you. As you learn about each circle, please reflect on which one you feel most drawn to and where your gifts can flourish. We really want you to be working in a circle where you feel you can make a difference So if you see a circle that feels like a better fit for you, we'll show you how to switch circles at the end of the call. And with that, Fatma, take it away.
Okay, thanks. So the first circle is the practice circle. That's the practice of the work of Byron Katie. This circle is the reason why this community exists, even though every circle is equally important. They all support the practice. Within this circle, a number of distinct subcircles are emerging, each with different roles and responsibilities. So far, we have find a partner, facilitators, one-for-one partnering, the work for breakfast, e-courses, and events. The find a partner circle would be managing and setting up new WhatsApp groups, including creating guidelines. Facilitators would be creating a process in which facilitators can submit their information to be listed on the website. And, the work would be creating guidelines, drafting guidelines and flowcharts for that process. The one-for-one partnering circle would be creating a space to support the community and finding one-for-one partners and providing links to all the documents. The work for breakfast would be creating a way for discovering the work for breakfasts that currently exist, as well as possibly developing best practices, guidelines for those who would like to create their own within different languages and time zones. The e-courses subcircle would be pointing to where you can access e-course materials, as well as managing and housing all e-courses in a shared space. Also identifying what e-courses are being requested, and facilitators willing to provide all applicable e-courses. The events is overseeing incoming event submissions and working with the web team to update the website regularly, as well as the comms team, and providing updates to the community of new and upcoming events. Further building out this part to sort by language, country, etc. So that's a little bit about the practice circle. I'm going to hand it over to Victoria to talk about the global community circle.
The Global Communities and Partnership Circle discovers and learns about associations, partnerships, practitioners, and online groups already passionately doing the work across the globe. And it is inspiring to see how many there are. In essence, this circle acts as an information gatherer and sharer, so our community members can access this worldwide landscape as a resource for their practice of the work. Next slide, please. The volunteer circle intakes new volunteers, learns about their interests, and helps volunteers find the circle that best suits them. This circle also onboards and trains new volunteers in how we operate as a community. And last but not least, this group ensures there is cross-collaboration from circle to circle. So next to talk about administration is Carver again.
All right, thank you, Victoria. So the easiest way to describe the administrative circle is all the behind the scenes operations and logistics, such as developing standard operating procedures that will be consistent and followed throughout the circles, as well as website development, any aesthetic or branding, platforms or tools, legal requests, including the filing for the 501c3 nonprofit application, as well as any legalities to ensure the community remains protected. And last but not least, money, fundraising, donations, budget management, in direct relation with the operations of the work community. Next is the communication circle. I'm going to hand this off to Corinne.
Thanks, Carver. So the communications circle entails any communications put out by the work community, including emails, WhatsApp posts, social media posts, website language, etc. This circle is very important, as the volunteers are also responsible for our community feedback loop, to hear you, our community's voices. It's not just putting out content, but listening to what the community has to say. Next slide, please. The research initiatives and innovation circle, tongue twister. There are some incredible research projects and initiatives already taking place within this community, and we would like you to be able to find them on the work community website. For example, there are a number of researchers that have published their findings on the efficacy of the work in various populations. Additionally, there are organizations sharing the work with specific groups, such as the Thinking Project, which is a nonprofit bringing the work to students in schools. Beyond Stigma is another nonprofit that brings the work to groups that experience high levels of stigma and self-stigma, such as people living with HIV, sex workers, people affected by domestic violence, and more. In other arenas, there is a chat GPT Katie that has been built where you can use AI to hold you in inquiry. Research and Initiatives is a hub where these innovators can share their work and findings with the broader community. And now for next steps and questions, we'll return to Fatma.
Thanks, Corinne. So we're coming to the end of our presentation, and after this call, we'll be sending you a detailed email with step-by-step instructions along with a recording. The first step will be for you to go into a Google Doc where your name is listed and the proposed circle based on your submission. Please feel free to select a different circle if you feel called to do so after hearing about it, and do so before October 21st. Second, we'll also ask for your support in outreach. There'll be a link in that email and instructions for you to contribute to a document that will help coordinate outreach efforts for when the work community is ready for broader invite. Third, the email, we are also asking for your ideas and suggestions. So please make sure you share your ideas. And finally, once the circles have been finalized, a volunteer will reach out to you to schedule our introductory calls for the first weeks of November. And that's the presentation that we have for you. And I'll hand it over to Carver to close, and we'll take questions if there are any.
Thank you. Well, thank you guys all so much for being a part of this community and your willingness to contribute. We are all excited to support each other on this path moving forward. Now we have a few minutes for questions, and we can open it up to everyone. So if you have a question, if you want to just do a hand raise, and then we would just ask you to unmute yourself. Annette! Hi! Oh my God, Heidi! I'm just now seeing some faces. Hi. Yeah. Oh. Any questions?
Would you take out the presentation so we can see each other?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
No, that's just for me. I just get to see you all.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm so happy to see a lot of faces. First, my appreciation, and I'm so grateful for what you have done. This is impressive. I don't have any question because for me, it has blown my mind. So I need to take some moment. Thank you. Thank you, Harvard. You always surprises me with that big heart. Thank you, and all the rest of the people who have been doing that. I will wait and I look forward for whatever is needed. I'm really, really excited. Since the ITW and Katie's announcement, my heart was like a little shut down, but now with this, it's like, again, it's flowing. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. I submitted a e-course and through the website, and I need to detract that submission. And I didn't see a way to do that, nor any way to contact. So my question is, both I want my specific e-course that I submitted taken away, and what would the procedure be? In the event.
Right now, we don't have e-courses posted on the website. We're still going to be developing that. So the only place e-courses exist currently is within the WhatsApp group. And if you posted it there, you could just go in and delete the posting. Is that correct, Fatma? We don't have e-courses on the events site?
Oh, no, we have been squeezing them into the events.
Oh, great.
We've been squeezing them into the events, and I think the best way, if you want to retract an event, is to email the volunteer email.
And how do I know who the volunteer is?
We'll just share it with you after this call. It'll be volunteer@theworkcommunity.com.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Victoria.
There was a question about on the chat line about donations, a direct message. Can you speak perhaps to if somebody wants to donate at this point and how that might work?
Yeah. So as it was all happening and unfolding, and the ITW is no longer there, I was moving into this apartment and wasn't even on the call, but all the people that I started talking with about the community, the work community, were pinging me and what's going on. So I quickly bought the website, bought the domain, got it up. And as soon as I started sharing it, I got 5 or 6 messages from people saying, how can we donate? How can we support? And it was so moving. And what feels right for me right now is I am happy to continue to carry this. I would rather people not donate or give money until we have an official 501c3 nonprofit organization established. Just the movement and transfer of money personally it just feels off in me. And it's such a clear yes for me to contribute the money up in advance. We also have paid for everything for the next year. So we are good, and that should be more than enough time to get the 501c3 in place. And then at that point, yeah, sure, please donate. Any other questions? Yes, Martina?
I have actually 2 questions. The one is, the ending at our community is .com. That is originally meaning commercial. And I thought we should have the website .org as being a nonprofit organization. Did you already think about that?
No, we had a fire lit under our pants and we were just moving as fast as we could.
Okay.
And that's a perfect example of something to put into the ideas and solutions, because then what will happen is it will go into the applicable circle that would be discussed in, and then collectively made a decision, which is the beautiful thing about this, is there's no you know, like Fatma said earlier, I don't want to be the leader in this. I want to sit in my practice. I want to do the work. And I love the idea of having a space that I can be supported in doing the work. So it's putting it back to us as a community to make those decisions. And all those things, those ideas, like it's so helpful when they're put in there so that we can collectively look through it all and process. So yeah, thank you. And question number 2.
Is about having groups not only on WhatsApp, but on other chat channels, because I have a lot of colleagues who don't use WhatsApp and would prefer to have another channel too.
Remember that 30-page PowerPoint presentation I talked about that I did not show you? There's an entire slide dedicated to tools and platforms and usage. And that's so 100% that like the human race, maybe people don't like WhatsApp, maybe they don't like Facebook, maybe like, so how do we make it available to anyone and everyone? And I think wherever we see the ask coming in, we support it. And that's going to really live in the practice circle, is how do we make the practice available to anyone and everyone? So yes, lovely. And if you have a specific tool or anything that you're not seeing, same thing, ideas and suggestions, drop it in there.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. Any other questions? Lakshmi, how are you?
Hey, Kava, lovely
Been a
to
hot
see
minute.
you.
You too.
Thank you, all of you, for being here, and definitely all of you who've been working hard at this recently. My question is about e-courses. I don't know if the syllabus, when it's going to come up, Katie had suggested putting it up, I think, on the work.com itself. So yeah, I'm really impatient to get hold of those. So I was wondering if you knew anything, or
I don't know anything, and we have added a bunch of action items in the e-course circle. The e-course circle is a sub-circle of the practice circle, and part of that is coordinating and figuring out with BKI, like what does Katie want with this? Are you providing these resources and tools to anyone and everyone? If so, are they going to be on the work.com? Do we then point to the work.com? Because again, the work community is, as I said earlier, we're pointing to the work. We're not saying, we're not owning it. There's no ownership with us. You know, same thing with like the research and analytics and ideas and all this great stuff that's happening. We're pointing to it. We're not, the work community is not doing it as a nonprofit. We're pointing to it. So yeah, that would be part of the e-course circle, is to really figure out all those logistics, because how sweet to capsule it and then share it with the community so everyone knows what's happening.
okay, thanks.
And great question, thank you. Anyone else?
So we're going to have, if I understood you correct, another, well, when we get the information in the email, like another meeting, because I'm sure I'll have questions once I know where I am and or what circle I'm in.
Yes, so you're going to get an email, and in it, the first step, there'll be a link, and you'll click on that link. It'll take you to a Google Doc where you can find your name, and it'll say what circle we currently have you in based off your feedback. Next to that is I'd rather be in this circle, and then you can do a drop down and select the circle you prefer. We have about 7 days to do that. Once that's done, then we're going to schedule the first circle meetings, but it's going to be by circle. So there'll be an administrative circle, there'll be a call for the practice circle, each individually. And that's when we'll start to deep dive a little bit more into what are our action items? How do we conduct a meeting? How, you know, there's so much to go on, right? And then also, I know this isn't a question that came up now, but it's something else that I've been asked a bunch of times. What if I have 1 hour every 2 weeks? What if I have 10 hours every week? Like, whether it's the smallest amount or the biggest amount, there are roles throughout the entire community. And it could be as simple as you have an hour, go into one of these WhatsApp groups, Facebook, etc., that we have kind of supported, to say, is anyone available? I'm happy to support you in facilitating you in the work. I mean, that's it for me. It's like, am I doing that practice? And then if I'm doing it, then am I supporting you in yours? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else?
Hey,
Yes.
yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Is it me? Oh, I wait. Is there
No,
anyone
you're
else?
good. You're talking.
Yeah,
I can
hi.
go on.
I have this question. For example, for this day, today I had written it already in my calendar, but I had forgotten to have the Zoom link. So I had to ask again in the WhatsApp group. But I was wondering, are these meetings somewhere to be found already in the website, or like, is there already like a part of the website where one can sign in somehow and get this inside information, or not yet?
Yeah. So I love that you asked that, because I haven't even thought about it. And this is, again, the collective ideas and suggestions that we need to continue to hear. Because, for us, after this call, we have 70 people who've submitted to be volunteers. We're going to share this with all of them, because it's impossible for everyone around the world to meet at one exact time, right? But to house those calls and where are they being housed and kept, that is a great idea. So will you click on the ideas and suggestions link when we send it to you and drop in all your thoughts and ideas about how you see that? And then, yeah, because that's awesome.
Okay, thank you.
I'd
Thank
love
you.
to add to that, Carver. It's a really, really good question. And the way we're seeing it is that we're going to share the same presentation with the larger community. Right now, you're the ones that are hearing this message for the first time. And we would love your input on how to to communicate this to the larger community so that we can share a very similar presentation to everybody else. That's a next step coming up, so that we can get the message out there so everybody understands where we're at and continue to contribute, because we'll need lots of people to help.
Yeah, and then to just tag on to that, if you guys all remember the what, how, whys. So the reason we wanted to kind of start with the volunteers first is to find out what we're missing, what are the other ways that we can support the community, so that when we do the presentation that we make available to the entire community, which we have not spoken about this outside of a few WhatsApp groups. Like it's a couple hundred people right now. And there are, thousands of people who sit in this practice. So we're not keeping a restraint on it, but we're also not, like, the broader invitation has not gone out yet. And so this next presentation, rather than what we focused a lot on this call in the second half, is the circles and how we would work together, et cetera. It'll be more of the what we're doing in the general community call, because let's say 90% of those people aren't interested in how we're doing it behind the scenes. They want to know what we're doing. What are we doing to support them in the practice? And so before doing that, we wanted your eyes on it, your thoughts, hey, what about this? What about this? So that we could collectively compile that before we go out to the broader community. Heidi, did you have your question still?
No. And I only say that because I didn't have a question to begin with.
Oh.
I just wanted to say that I'm just so grateful. I'm just so grateful for the people who took the reins and are organizing this and using their talents in this way. I just, so much love for this family. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. I think you and I were at my first school together in like 2013 or.
Yeah, we go way back.
Yeah, well, and Annette, can I share where we met? Turnaround House. We spent some time together in Turnaround House together. And then I feel like I've been at least with more than half of you at school or some event.
I just want to add, if you spread the video, or if we find a way to spread the video, I think it's very important that we also spread then the volunteer link that the people can directly jump in.
Yeah, yeah, and that'll be a part of the greater community video, is like the invitation to volunteer. You know, what's beautiful about this one is you guys already have, so thank you. Yeah, and then there is an ask in the email that we're going to send you. So the first point is to check your circle. The second one is an invitation that if you have communities that you're involved in, like for example, I have the March 2018 School for the Work, in Facebook group, I've got, so you can go in and add it and then add your name so that we know that when we have that general communication to go out, we can tap you and say, hey, Annette, do you mind sharing this with the group that only you're included in because we don't have access? So we start to compile and wrap our hands around the entire community. Again, like no person left behind.
And
Cool.
I don't know if I should mention it here or just put it in the suggestions, but I was just thinking of like on the website having, you know, people, if they want to sign up for a newsletter or something, and that way we could send out information.
We have that on the website. It's at the bottom of every page, says to stay informed, keep in touch. And yeah, we already have like over 100 email addresses in there. And again, I keep laughing because we haven't really made this public. So I'm like, oh, who are all these people? Yes. And if you can see a better way of doing it too, like, please, like, let us know. Because it's right now we slapped at the bottom of every page, but maybe there needs to be a call to action somewhere higher up.
I was just thinking of like sending out like what's going on in our community and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's going to exist in the communication circle, is like constant updates. And then, you know, similar to what Martina mentioned about technology in different forms. So we can't just be like, okay, here's what we're doing and just pop it in an email, even though an email is really supportive. How do we also make it available on WhatsApp and Facebook and, you know, all those channels until we have a clear, like, so we call them communication channels. But yeah, thank you. Okay, anything else?
I'm curious about, there's no way on the website, there's no contact us option at all. And I understand that if I were in your shoes, I wouldn't want one either. And I wouldn't have needed to ask my question, even if there was just to say, here's a, you know, here's an email address to send an email to or something. So anyway, just.
Yeah, I hear you. And again, when I keep asking all of you guys to put this in ideas and suggestions, it's because for me, in one ear out the other, like I drop information so quickly. I think to your point, Dale, that is something to be really thought through intentionally. My background is experiential marketing and corporate events, and I used to do it at a conference called VidCon in Anaheim every year with 20,000 attendees. And we found that you could create ways to create feedback loops to hear what people needed and wanted without allowing too much of a direct connection to someone, because then it becomes a want and a need. And so how do we really think that through to support the community while at the same time keeping our sanity, that we are a volunteer based, like no one's going to be available 24/7 to respond to emails every single day. So, and right now, for example, we have volunteer at theworkcommunity.com, events at theworkcommunity.com. We'll be creating support some other email accounts. And within each of those, we've created language that's an auto response with FAQ. So if we continue to see people are emailing and asking the same question over and over, we're adding that into that auto response email. So it's getting people answers faster, that they're not waiting 4 or 5 days to get a response back. Yeah, anyway, so trying to be as thoughtful and mindful about that communication, that really sits in the communication circle. So maybe that would be a good one for you to shift into, Dale.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
And I just heard that there's an events Fatma, you suggested I go to volunteers at theworkcommunity.com. And then I just heard that there's an events at theworkcommunity.com. And
It's because we're so short-staffed, no one's manning that. Yeah, I'll give you a quick answer on that one. Nobody's home.
okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, anything else? Oh my gosh, well, thank you guys all so much for taking the time. And like I said, we're gonna make this video available and then the email will be coming out shortly after that. One final thing we did not mention in the email, because we wanted to surprise you all, there's homework. It's the 5th bullet. It's not mandatory or necessary. It's just we've data dumped a bunch of definitions and guidelines and information about it, like a sociocratic organization, just so as you go into these circle calls, maybe some of the terminology will make sense. Like, okay, well, each circle has a representative. Doesn't mean you're the leader of the circle. You're the representative taking the voice of the circle to the larger circle meeting. So yeah, that link will be in there. And then it's also, like everything else, is something for you to review and provide any ideas and suggestions. If something feels a little off for you, if it's confusing, you know, again, we're just grateful for your guys' eyes on this. So as we continue to unfold it to the larger community, it's more and more tightened up. Okay. You will be graded on homework. I'm just kidding. There's no grade. All right, guys. Well, thank you. Thank you. Really, really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
What a journey.
I love you, Manette. It's so good to see your face.